court cards. Am I right? I know a lot of people share my opinion because I'm getting questions again about court cards in my mailbox, and I'm not trying to ignore you. I haven't been sure what to say to you. I have to admit, the problem of court cards is really a new problem for me, relatively new. And I realize now the reason that it was relatively new is I read with the same deck for 40 years or whatever of my life, so of course I was familiar with the court cards. But once I started hanging around this community on YouTube, and I started to be tempted by all of the decks that you show me endlessly, and started getting some of those for myself and putting some of those on my wish list and getting them as gifts, I'm starting to run into more and more instances where the courts in these decks make little to no sense to me. I don't know why it is. I think sometimes, and I'm not, I don't know, I recognize it's really difficult to make a deck and all the work that goes into the deck and the beautiful artwork and etc. But every now and then I look at a deck and I think, oh my goodness, they spent so much time on the majors, and then going through, by the time they got all those minors up to 10, they got to the courts and went, well, let's just get it done, right? Because some of them don't make a lot of sense. Go back to my playlist and look at the Cat's Eye Tarot. Do you remember how I said for so long those cats, it was a cat sitting on a chair. Here was another cat sitting on a fence. Here's a cat sitting under a tree. Like, how are you supposed to read that? How are you really supposed to read that? Okay. Well, I kind of came around some methods with the cat's eye. I got to know those. I went into the Wildwood, and I really got to know the animals that they represented there in the Wildwood. For instance, I was able to relate somehow the card to what I already knew about the court card. I will give an example. I believe it is the Queen of Pentacles, and the Wildwood is the illustration on the card is the bear. And it's quite easy to get from that mother bear to the Queen of Pentacles. Very protective and loving bear, but she's crossed. She can be pretty fierce. Nothing's scarier than her if she's not on your good side. So I was able to get into that and kind of read that where I was comfortable in the Wildwood. And I promise you, I'm not going to skim over this subject. We're going to do some sample readings, and we're going to get into some of these where we see some court cards and see what we want to do with them. But for today, I want to talk about another simpler, perhaps, a simplistic approach anyway to reading the court cards. Now, I first heard about this years ago. I was just reminded of it lately, but I do recall I first heard of it years ago when I was watching a video that Kellyanne Maddox had done. And I have to say, word that comes out of her mouth is gold to me. She's just really a treasure, knows her stuff. She really knows her stuff. But she kind of lost me here. She kind of lost me. I was following, I liked what she had to say about a method of reading the courts. I really liked it, except she lost me somewhere. And I will come back to this point in just a minute. I want to explain what it is first, so that you see what I mean. It's not that she's wrong. I think she's perfectly right. I just could not do it her way. Okay? And I'll explain why in a minute. The first thing we want to do is I want to talk, just review for a minute what all of us know about court cards. Okay, the court cards, we already there's a little bit of a discussion all the time about whether they're really people or they're just representing characteristics of people or situations, that remind you of people. That varies. Some people don't read them as people at all. Some people always read them as people. I tend to sometimes read them as people, mostly not. What I mean is, I don't read them as a particular, I'll back up. Every time I get on here, I get so excited. I get the hiccups. Pardon me. Excuse me. I don't read them as particular people, but unless they're in a position where it's going to be a person, like if a position card in a position represents someone who may be of help to me, somebody who may be hindering what I'm trying to do, if I'm asking it that way, and it comes up a person, it's a person. Sometimes it can, if we're asking a question about a particular person, like if my querent is asking about their child, and a page comes up in the reading, good chance that might be the child that we're talking about. But mostly I just do not. I tend to look at them as they display the characteristics and the personalities of their suit. Okay, and we all know what that means. Okay, well, their suit, like if it's about the cups, if it's a cup of soup, the suit of cups. It's going to be about emotions or about, intuition or feelings, something like that. Okay, so I usually read them that way as they're displaying their suit. I usually read a king as being very mature, thinking about the king as being very mature, masculine traits. Not necessarily a man, just masculine traits of a man or woman, which demonstrates somebody who demonstrates authority or mastery over something in the area of the suit. In Pentacles, mastery over money, mastery over, a career, mastery over maybe the master of the house, okay? Authority within the house, within the family. Okay, the queen is the feminine, the mature feminine qualities, okay, as representing their suit through nurturing, through sensing, maternal instincts, etc. But feminine qualities associated with feelings, like if it's relationship, self-expression. If it is a queen of swords, it's somebody who a very intellectual kind of person, somebody who's maybe a teacher or somebody who expresses themselves who thinks expresses their things guide their actions rather than their feelings. They're guided by their thoughts. Okay. Knights are the immature young adult kind of traits, represented by their suit. Okay. This is it's a card that represents that something's not mature yet. It's acting, but maybe out of balance. It could be out of balance sometimes. Maybe prone to excess. We think about the Knight of Swords plunging forward with his sword, maybe without thinking it through yet. Maybe running with scissors, maybe getting into some kind of trouble. Okay? It's an immature action, but it is action. And then the page we representing the playful child, the childlike qualities of just, the symbol of adventure or possibilities that have not yet happened. They're holding the potential of their suit, but it's just not really molded yet. It's not influenced by anyone, perhaps. It's just the very spark of something, the very beginning. Now, I think we all agree on that. That's nothing new. I haven't given you any new information. But I want to say, if we're going to say these are characteristics of people, we all know people who are really emotional, really intellectual, really practical, right? Really passionate people. But all of us as people display more than one emotion within our realm, right? There are times when all of us have to be assertive, even if we're not assertive people. There are times that all of us are called upon to be passionate or compassionate, or call upon our memories, or relying upon our dreams or aspirations asked to. Whether maybe that's not a part of our regular makeup or not. Okay. Sometimes we all have to make hard decisions, which would be representative of air, but maybe that's not our normal way. Okay. So because of this, this method of reading court cards bases the reading of the card not just on its, whether it's a king, queen, page, knight, its status within the hierarchy of the court, its suit, which is the suit of the card, swords meaning air, right? Cups, water, pentacles, earth, wands, fire, right? But also, because of the dynamics, which I just spoke of, the court cards are also influenced by a second element. They're represented. So like if we say pages, a page of swords, a page represents a very young beginnings of swords, some kind of a thought, because it's swords. But it's also all pages representing air. All pages representing air. Okay. All knights representing fire. All queens representing water, and all kings representing earth. That's maybe a little bit too much, too much to swallow here. And this is where I say this. When I was watching Kellyanne Maddox, has more knowledge than 10 people about tarot, explained this to me years ago, this method. I put it away. I didn't follow it because Kellyanne was associating the knights, the kings, the queens, the pages in a different way for the second element association than I just spoke. Knights to me are air. Knights to me... See, I'm almost misspeaking now. And I'm going to show you what I did in a minute just to make sure that I don't want to mix you up. All pages representing air, all knights representing fire, all queens representing water, all kings representing earth as their secondary element. She has those different associated in a different way. It's not going to make that much difference, and I've read about this a lot since then. And people do it differently, and it doesn't really matter. I think everybody pretty much agrees queens are water. I don't know why, but they do. But the other ones, they have them representing different things. That's okay. Because in the end, I think the reading comes out. We're still going to get a good reading. We're still going to get a good reading. Not going to differ that much. And I think you're going to see that. So if this doesn't make any sense to you, what I'm saying, you think I'm all backwards, go to Kellyanne and see what she says. Or maybe assign them yourselves. But having that secondary element gives us another read, gives us a simpler approach to reading the court cards. Okay? I did a little chart to get myself, so I don't get mixed up when I talk. I don't think you can see it really clearly. It's not that important. But here I have across the top of my chart the suit. I have first suit, page, knight, king, queen. Suit. Here we have going down the suits. Going down the suits. And then I have each one beside. The wands. Suit of wands. I have the page, the knight, the queen, the king. The suit of cups. Page, knight, king, queen. I have them going down. Oh, you see? So that I could fill in my little chart. Okay. And I'm going to cut my camera here and turn my camera because I'm going to go through this methodically, and I'm going to show you how having this second suit can help you with a simple way to read. When you get a deck like I just have here, which we're going to look at the very end here, some of these cards, you'll see how that might help us, okay? So bear with me. Try not to turn this off too fast until you just give me a chance to explain this. I know it sounds a little complicated without looking at the cards, but once we see the cards, it might be clearer. So just hold on a minute. Okay, here we go. I've laid out the 4 pages first. Hope you can see them. And remember what I was just saying. This might make it a little clearer. The Page of Swords, we can see he already represents air. The Page of Wands already represents fire. Page of Cups already represents water. And the Page of Pentacles already represents earth. But the second influence, the second elemental influence on all of the pages is going to be air. Okay? We're just going to say it's air. Some other people might say something else. Kellyanne said something else. Okay? If you don't like what I say, this doesn't make sense to you, go listen to Kellyanne. Go do some research on the internet. Do you find something that works with you? That's what's important. We're all correct if it works for ourselves, okay? So, if they all represent air, what we mean by that, this is where it's important, is the Page of Swords. Oh wait, all of the pages. Wait, I'm going to get ahead of myself. All of the pages, by representing air, represents air, which governs the mentality, attitudes, and thoughts. What do we mean by that? Well, the pages, remember, we said were immature. They don't have mastery yet, okay? The pages are in the process of thinking about, and if you look here, this is really why I wanted to show you in the Rider-Waite. You can really see it. Because look at the position, look at the expression, maybe even on the faces of these pages. The Page of Swords is thinking about what he is, everything. Totally up in his head. He's thinking about what he's going to say. He might be thinking about what he's going to do. Okay? It's all in his head. He's not doing anything yet. His feet are on the ground. He's not moving. He's not the knight rushing forward on horseback. He's still standing there thinking about it. Okay? He's the airy part of air. Airy part of air. Sometimes this can result in him being ungrounded, unrealistic, or never realizing his dreams. It's the airhead. It's the airhead. He's not grounding. He's just thinking about one thing, then he's thinking about another. Sometimes it's a person who goes from one thing to another, to another, to another, never really develops any idea, just keeps coming up with ideas. Okay, that's the Page of Swords. Page of Wands is the airy part of fire. The airy part, because it's a page of fire, because it's wands. Okay, he's thinking about what he's going to do, where he's going to go, what action he might take. And we can even see he's looking, and in this position, the page is actually gazing up at the little leaves on the end of his wand. He's thinking about those actions that he's going to eventually take. He's not taking the action yet. He is thinking about it. The Page of Cups is the airy part of water. He's thinking about his feelings, thinking about his emotions. He's thinking about romance or love, whatever it is for your reading. Your reading's going to guide you to tell you what. But he's not doing it yet. He's still in that process. And we can see by his position, he's really thinking a lot about himself too. A lot of times this card comes across as somebody who is, like a lot of it's for show. A lot of it's for show. Which he might be more in love with love than he is in love. Right? And then we have the Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles, gazing up here at the pentacle, he is the airy part of earth. He's thinking about his goals. He's thinking about financial planning. Here are his commitments, or his course of study. He might be making plans on them, but he's not doing them yet. It's still air. It's still the page. He's very immature yet in his head. No actions yet, just his thoughts. Okay? Now that might have confused you. Give me a chance. Let's go to another one. Let's look at the swords. Okay, swords. Let's look at the knights. You see, it's my fault if you're getting mixed up. It's because of my... I'm talking without thinking what I want to say. hope you can see. Hope I'm getting the position right. Okay, here we have the knights, and we already know the Knight of Swords is concerned with air. The Knight of Wands is concerned with fire. The Knight of Cups concerned with water. The Knight of Pentacles concerned with earth, just like we already know. But the secondary element for all of the knights is the element of fire, which governs the actions, the inspiration, enthusiasm, creativity or movement, maybe even travel. Okay? Now the Knight of Swords is the fiery part, because it is fire, the fiery part of swords, which is air. So the Knight of Cups is the fiery part of air. I mean the Knight of Wands, fiery part of air, this Knight of Swords, fiery part of air. He's actually acting on it, isn't he? He's acting on his thoughts, he's acting on his plans. Okay, but sometimes the combination of fire and air can be very volatile. Sometimes the combination of speed of thought or speed of word with that action, which is fiery action, can have unwelcome or disastrous results, depending on what it is. Remember, the sword is a double-edged sword. He can cut himself. He can hurt others. His speed of speaking, his mind, can hurt other people. Right? His speed of acting too quickly on an idea or a plan without giving it careful thought might come back and hurt him. Cutting off your nose to spite your face, kind of thing. Okay? So that is the danger of the Knight of Swords. Fiery part of air. Fire is accelerated with air. It can become too much. Where do we know about the balance? We see the balance, how this is balanced, has to do with the reading. And we're going to get into that in a whole other video. Right now, let's just talk about the fiery part of air. Fiery part of fire, the Knight of Wands. Constant motion, constant needing challenges, constant needing distractions. He's all fired up, he wants to go. This excess of fire can result in recklessness, too much haste, not enough thought. Not enough thought. Here he maybe has too many thoughts. Here he doesn't have enough thoughts. Could be, that's the balance. Okay, sometimes. Here we have the Knight of Cups, which is the fiery side of cups is water. Fiery side of water. He's acting, he's doing something about his feelings. He's expressing how he feels about something or someone. It could be a very passionate love. It could be a passionate love. It could be something really, he's acting on it. He doesn't just see something he wants. He's going to go after what he wants. Okay? And the Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles is the fiery part of, because it's Pentacles, earth. He's doing something to be productive. He's practical. He's taking steps toward his plan. He's not there yet. Still immature, but he's taking steps. We see his steps might not be swift as we look at the Knight plunging forward as fast as he can plunge. He might be plodding along on a slow pace, but slow and steady wins the race. He gets there eventually, maybe, but it's going to take him a while. He's firmly planted. Some people say he's really not even moving, but he is moving. He's a knight. He's moving, but it's not swiftly. Okay, pick up the knights. And we're going to put down the queens. We have the Queen of Swords, Queen of Wands, Queen of Cups, Queen of Pentacles. Okay? Queen of Swords, of course, concerned with the element air. Queen of Wands, concerned with the element of fire. Queen of Cups, the element of water. Queen of Pentacles, the element of earth. But the secondary element of all queens is water. They're influenced by the element of water, which governs the emotions, the feelings, creativity, perhaps spirituality. Okay. First we have the Queen of Swords, which is the watery part, because it's the queen, watery part of air. Okay. She takes her feelings into account when she makes plans. She is but she considers the feeling of others. She might, but sometimes this could be if there's an excess of either air or water, it can cause depression. If there's too much water, it can drown her. If she has too much air, it could dry up the water. So this could be someone who, when this is out of balance in this way, somebody who really separates their emotions from things, maybe too unemotional, maybe holding back her emotion or becoming cold if things don't go her way. Okay, so you see those fine details of the card, which way the balance is going to depend on the reading. Again, we're going to get into that later. Right now, we're just concerned with the two elemental energies. Try to think of all the possibilities. The Queen of Wands, because it's the Queen, it is the watery side of Wands, which is fire. The watery side of fire. She takes her feelings into consideration before she does anything. Okay. She tempers her fiery and feisty spirit with a calming, soothing influence of the water. But water can put out fire. So she needs to keep a check on her feelings, make sure she's not emotionally unbalanced. Okay, she's got to keep that in balance. Now we know right away when we get to the Queen of Cups what this is going to be. The Queen of Cups is the watery part of water, immersed in her emotions, immersed in her feelings. And look at her cup, how big it is. Holy man, baby, size matters to this queen. Her queen is as big as the whole upper part of her body, her cup. The whole upper part of her body, the size. She is immersed in her emotions, immersed in her feelings. She's touched by others. She's psychic. She's creative. She probably is an empath. The water element is such excess, it can cause the queen to be overly emotional, hypersensitive. It can drown her in depression. Okay, so we need to look around her. What else is in the spread to see what can help keep that from happening? If there's a whole lot of cups in that spread, this is going to be a problem, isn't it? Excess of water, overreacting emotionally. Okay, you see how it can start to play into your reading? The Queen of Pentacles is the watery side of Earth. This helps her feel good about herself and appreciate all she's creative, all that she has, all that she's made. And think about the Queen of Pentacles. In a lot of decks, we see the Queen of Pentacles. She's standing there looking out at her, like it's in her garden. She's looking out at what she sees around her, and she's taking pride in it. It's making her feel good. It's making her feel like she's achieved. It makes her feel good about herself. She's got good self-esteem. Okay. So those are the queens. And now we're going to pick them up and we're going to put down kings. What do we know about the kings? King of Swords is concerned with air. King of Wands, concerned with fire. King of Cups with water. King of Pentacles with earth. But we also know the secondary element, what is left of kings, is the element of earth. Earth governs the material world. Practicality, groundedness, productivity, okay, nature, all the physical world. And the kings are the masters of this, right? They're the masters of this. They're the authority figure in their area. The King of Swords is the airy part, the earthy part, because it's a king, the earthy part of swords. Of air. So the earthy part of air. He demands mental self-discipline in order for his plans to be realized. It could be, this could result in ruthlessness. Somebody who's ruthless. Gets his way. It's my way or the highway. You're stubborn. Maybe an unharsh, maybe a disciplinarian. And he kind of looks like that. You see that drawn in the picture. Okay. excess of earth in that air. Earthy air. I want to see results and I want to see them now. The King of Wands. Earthy part of Wands is fire. It makes the fire element finish what it starts. No burning it out. It's going to finish what it starts. There's that fire of wanting to create something. It's a tangible thing, and that earth makes it into a tangible thing. It's going to be finished. But too much of the earth can slow him down and dampen his enthusiasm, making for stubbornness. That desire to have to get everything done, have to do it, sometimes takes the joy out of it. Sometimes it takes the pleasure out of it. The King of Cups is the earthy side of water. The earth encourages self-discipline in the emotions and feelings to be productive. We got to keep a check on our emotions. We don't want to get too emotional. We want to be practical. Too much of the earth will smother his emotions. We all know people who get lost in their work, right? We all get people who get so lost in their work, or lost in their job, or lost in the desire to make money, or they're working and whatever they're doing, that they just don't have a personal life at all. Okay, that's the danger here. An excess of earth smothering the emotions. Okay. Now, I don't know how much this helps you, but I want to tell you how it helps me. I want to just give you a little bit of an example. If we go to the deck that I was talking about, uses animals. You see, this is the Animal Lords deck. And I see, this is the Knave of Swords, Knave of Wands, Knight. Whoops. Knave of Chalices and Knave of Pentacles, okay? Now, this one's not too bad because this one he has a sword in his hand. But when we look at these other things, the Knave of Wands is a wolf howling at the moon. I don't like this card so much because look at him, he has a gun in his hand, which is creeping me out that the wolf has a gun. But anyway, the Knave of Chalices, she's looking at her garden. I guess she is looking at her garden. So we could, if we wanted to think about the Queen in the decks that I've told you before, how she's looking out at her garden, that might be a connection that we can make. But this is the Knave. Remember, this is the Knave. So this was a little bit confusing me. But if I think about the airy part of air, the airy part of fire, the airy part of water, and the airy part of earth, all of a sudden I have something to read. The airy part of fire here, the Knave of Wands, he's thinking about what he's going to do. Look at him baying at the moon. Where he's going to go, what action he might be taking. That kind of makes sense to me when I look at the picture. The airy part of chalice, the airy part of water, thinking about his emotions, thinking about romance, thinking about love. Yes, thinking about her feelings. She's out in the garden here, but she's really not doing anything. She's looking. But you see how this could be confused. We still see that she's the airy part. She's not working on it yet. If we think of her as we see the image of the Queen of Pentacles in the garden, it's going to confuse us because that Queen has mastery over her emotions. She's got a maturity over her emotions. It's a maturity, excuse me. This is the Knave. This is the Page. No maturity here. This is too immature. She's thinking about it. Okay? You see how this could help us in these kind of cards? Now I have the Knights. I have Knights. I have the Knight of Swords, the Knight of Wands, the Knight of Chalices, and the Knight of Pentacles. Now we have some action, a little bit of action, which is a little confusing because they're really not doing much. Here we have the Knight of Swords, which he's got a sword he's waving around. So that kind of reminds us of the Knight of Swords in the Rider-Waite. Okay, but these don't remind us of too many things. Look at the Knight of Chalices. We have I guess a lightning bug. And we think of a lightning bug, the Knight of Chalices is the, which would be the same as the Knight of Cups, would be the fiery part of water, acting on or doing something about his feelings or emotions. He's expressing how he feels. And here we do see the lightning bug is a bug that expresses how he feels. He lights up. That's part of his mating ritual, isn't it? So he does have an action associated with it. I might forget that about the lightning bug, but I could think of the fiery part of water, and it makes more sense to me. You see how the card starts to make sense when you put these two elements together. We have the queens, the Queen of Swords, Queen of Wands, Chalices, Pentacles. Okay, the watery side of air, watery side of fire, watery side. And here we see, now this one, she does look like that little queen with her little bird. The Queen of Chalices and the Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Chalices kind of creeps me out here. Because first of all, we have a queen, which is the feminine side, okay, but I don't think in anybody's world a peacock, which is what this is, has boobs. It just annoys me that a peacock, male or female, any kind of bird really would have boobs. It's sort of rude. And also, if this is the feminine side of a peacock, why does it have plumage? Because a male peacock, whether it has female or male tendencies, if it is of the male sex, it would have the foliage. The females, whatever they feel, do not have the plumage. So that kind of disturbs me. So I look at the Queen of Chalices and I see the watery side of water. Watery side of water. It's kind of readable to me in that instance. And then finally I have the swords, showing mastery, showing authority. Okay. I have the King of Swords, mastery of air, mastery of fire, mastery of water, mastery of earth, but I see them as all earthly side, the earthly side of air, earthy part of air. In order for you to achieve, you have to have self-discipline. That's what he says. It could mean a disciplinarian. The earthy side of wands is the earthy side of fire. Got to finish what he starts. He's going to create something tangible. It's going to take some time. But we don't want it to dampen his enthusiasm. We've got to slow it down. The King of Chalices, the earthy part of water. We have to be careful. Too much earth will smother his emotions. So we want to bring in, make sure that he allows there's balance in the reading where we can have both. And the King of Pentacles, the earthy part of earth. Self-discipline, practical, everything he starts, he finishes. He has to have something finished, but it could keep him just not only grounded, but buried deep in the ground. Overly cautious, overly stubborn. The earthy side of earth. And we see from this picture, he doesn't look stubborn in any way, does he? He doesn't look like he has to finish everything he starts. We don't get a clue of that from the animal in the picture. So that's why I kind of like this. I kind of like this method. Okay. I hope I didn't confuse you. The subject is not a big subject. It's sort of a simplistic it's supposed to be a simplistic approach to reading, but in order to describe it, I have to make several assumptions of what you know already. So I suggest you, if you're going to try this at all, I don't know if you have a bullet journal or not, but just like I made my little chart in here, if you just get yourself a piece of paper, whatever, and write down the suits, and then write down, each of the court cards, page, knight, king, queen, and king, and then fill out a chart that makes sense to you. If it makes sense for the pages to be air, with them in there, so that you have the airy part of air, the airy part of fire, the airy part of water, the airy part of earth, and then you have the fire, the fiery part of air, fiery part of fire, fiery part of water, fiery part of earth, etc. Go through the 4, and then give a thought about what that might mean. Too much air, not enough. Or what is the combination between the air and the fire? Air and the fire. Air fans fire. Air fans fire. Not enough air puts that fire out. Burns it out, right? Too much can burn it. It can be gone. Not enough, it can smother it. What happens if there's too much water? What happens to the combination between air and water? If you have too much air, not enough water, it could dry up that water. If you have too much water and not enough air, it could drown you. Drown you in your sorrows. Give it a thought, and then get out some of your decks that have court cards, and see how you can apply what you have on your chart, or what you have in your brain or your head, if your head is much more organized than mine, and see how it works for you. Get out, if you were here when we did the Wildwood Tarot, look at the court cards. That's a really good time to look at that one, because they're animals. They're represented by animals. Get out those court cards and you apply what you have in your chart. I remember what I said. If it makes no sense to you that pages are air, if you think pages should be, let's see, I don't want to confuse you. I do know that Kellyanne, I think her kings represent air. I'm not sure. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, see what she says. If you represent the suit representative, the element represented, does it make sense? You can switch them around, or do some research on the internet. But this is just how it made sense to me. I don't know why, but it did. Okay. Anyway, I'd like to know what you think after you try it. I mean, I realize some of you might give me a thumbs down on this video, thinking, oh, it's not very organized, I'm confused, I'm more confused than I ever was. I hope that's not the case. Maybe if you listen to it again, or listen to the parts again as I was going through the cards. But at least try the method. I think I gave you enough information that I at least gave you what the method was, and let me know how that helps you to read the court cards. Okay? By the way, the deck that I was using at the end here is the Tarot of the Animal Lords, I think it's called. I've had it for a long time, and I never read it, because like I said, it creeped me out. Having animal heads on people's bodies kind of creeps me out. Having, boobs on birds kind of creeps me out. Having wolves, which are hunted and treated horribly, and they're such wonderful creatures, holding a shotgun really creeped me out. So I had some issues with the deck. But I'm trying to read it because, as much as I don't like some of the imagery, I'm giving it a try. It's my deck of the month. And like I said, I'm going to do a video on this thing because I'm going to see how it reads. And we're going to see together how it reads with the court cards. This approach I had with the court cards, we're going to use it when we do some readings with this deck. So try to stay tuned for that. Watch for that. That's going to be coming up soon, I hope. Okay. Thank you for watching. I hope this didn't go too long. But, what was the subject? needed some explaining. Thanks for watching. I am, as always, the good wife. Send you blessings.